Chapter 12 Reproduction in Plants. Introduction. The production of new organism from the existing organisms of the same species is called reproduction. There are two types of methods of reproduction or modes of reproduction in plants. 1. Asexual reproduction. 2. Sexual reproduction. The special cells involved in sexual reproduction are called gametes. The production of new plants from existing plants without the involvement of gametes or sex cells is called asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction in plants, new plants can be obtained from an existing plant without seeds. The production of new plants from existing plants by the fusion of their gametes or sex cells is called sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, new plants are obtained from existing plant through seeds. The asexual reproduction in plants can take place by the following methods. 1. Vegetative propagation. 2. Budding. 3. Fragmentation. And 4. Spore formation. Before describing the above methods of reproduction, let us discuss some terms. Node. Node is a point on the stem or branch of a plant where a leaf is attached. Axil. Axil is the upper angle between a leaf stalk and the stem or branch from which it is growing. Bud. Bud is a compact, knob-like undeveloped shoot consisting of a shortened stem and immature overlapping leaves. Buds are the growing points of a plant. The axillary buds or vegetative buds can give rise to new plants. The stems, roots and leaves are called vegetative parts of a plant. Vegetative propagation. In vegetative propagation, new plants are produced from the parts of old plants like stems, roots or leaves. Vegetative propagation usually involves the growth and development of one or more buds on the old part of the plant to produce a new plant. Vegetative propagation by stems. New plants can be obtained from the stem or branch of an existing plant by the method of cuttings. Money plant can also be grown by the cutting method of vegetative propagation. A tuber is the thickened underground stem or root of a plant which is swollen with stored food. There are two types of tubers, stem tubers and root tubers. Potato is a stem tuber. A cut part of a potato with a bud can grow into a new potato plant. The vegetative propagation method of producing potato plants by using potato tuber cuttings is much faster than the production of potato plants from seeds. Vegetative propagation by roots. The roots of some plants like sweet potato and dahlia can be used to produce new plants. Vegetative propagation by leaves. Some plants reproduce themselves from leaves. One example of plant which can reproduce from its leaves is Bryophyllum. The two plants, Bryophyllum and Begonia, can be reproduced from their leaves. The plants such as cacti produce new plants when their parts get detached from the main body and fall on the ground. Budding. In budding, a small part of the body of the parent plant grows out as a bulb-like projection called bud, which then detaches and becomes a new plant. Yeast is a single-celled plant. Yeast reproduces by budding. Fragmentation. The breaking of the body of a plant into two or more pieces on maturing, each of which subsequently grows to form a new plant, is called fragmentation. An alga reproduces by a sexual method of fragmentation. Spore formation. Spores are the asexual reproductive bodies. Spores are not seeds. Most of the fungi and flowerless plants reproduce asexually by means of spores. The common bread mold plant or Rhizopus fungus reproduces by the method of spore formation. The tiny spores of bread mold plant are almost always present in the air. The plants such as ferns and mosses also reproduce by means of spores. Sexual reproduction in plants. Most of the flowering plants reproduce by sexual reproduction method involving the fusion of sex cells called gametes. Flowers are the reproductive parts of a plant. The function of a flower is to make male and female gametes and to ensure that fertilization takes place to make seeds for growing of new plants. The main parts of a flower are receptacle, sepals, petals, stamen and pistil. 1. Receptacle. The base of a flower to which all the parts of a flower are attached is called receptacle. 2. Sepals. The green leaf-like parts in the outermost circle of a flower are called sepals. All the sepals taken together are called calyx. The function of sepals or calyx is to protect the flower in its initial stages when it is in the form of a flower bud. 3. Petals. The colorful parts of a flower are called petals. The petals lie inside the sepals. All the petals taken together are called corolla. 4. Stamen. Stamen is the male reproductive organ of the plant. It consists of filament and anther. Anther makes the pollen grains and stores them. Pollen grains contain the male gametes or male sex cells of the plant. 5. Pistil. Pistil is the female reproductive organ of the plant. It consists of the stigma, style, and ovary. The ovary makes ovules and stores them. Ovules contain the female gametes or female sex cells of the plant. A new seed of the plant is formed when the male gamete present in a pollen grain unites with the female gamete present in the ovule. Pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from anther of a stamen to the stigma of a pistil is called pollination. There are two methods of pollination: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Pollination is done by insects, wind, and water. Fertilization. The process in which the male gamete present in pollen grain fuses or joins with the female gamete present in ovule to form a new cell called zygote is called fertilization. Formation of fruits and seeds. The ovule present in ovary grows to become a seed. All the ovules present in the ovary of a flower get fertilized by pollen grains and grow to become seeds. The ovary of a flower develops and becomes a fruit. Germination. The process in which a seed begins to grow is called germination. Dispersal of seeds and fruits. Dispersal of seeds means to scatter seeds over a wide area. For seeds to grow, they need to travel to new places in the ground. Here are some ways that they travel. 1. Some fruits explode and send their seeds flying into the air. 2. Some seeds are light and have wings to travel on the wind. 3. Heavy seeds fall down to the ground. Some birds and animals can move seeds around and forget them in the ground. 4. Some seeds are hollow inside so that they can float on the water until they find a new place to grow. 5. Some seeds have little hooks on them so they stick to an animal's fur and travel to a new place. 6. Many seeds are eaten by animals and are planted in their droppings.